It's really awful and heartbreaking to see people parting out beautiful cars like this. This is an iconic 2003 zinc yellow Terminator Cobra. I'm not sure if this was a salvage title car or if there was more reason behind it, but the person parting this car out says that it had 110,000 miles, it ran perfect, it had 146 to 150 psi compression in all the cylinders, it was a straight axle car, so somebody had swapped it over to a solid axle for drag racing or just because they liked the solid axle better. It had a lot of aftermarket parts on it, and some people don't mind taking a car like this and stripping it and selling it for parts to make a little bit of money. Now, I still don't understand why they would think that this is a good idea when it's such an iconic car, it's limited production, it's very desirable, a lot of people would love to have this car the way it is, it's very clean, it looks nice, and really after you start spending your time taking this thing apart, then your time must not be worth anything if you're parting these cars out for money, because if you were to do an hourly wage plus what you're making off the parts, you're not really making anything. You're getting break even sometimes. You know, it depends on if the person bought this car for a steal. Maybe they got it for 10 or 12 grand and they're going to sell it off and, you know, get 8,000 for the drivetrain, and then, you know, there is money to be made, but for destroying such a beautiful car, I don't see why people do it. These posts are found on the Terminator parts pages and the modular Mustang pages and 99 to 04 Mustang pages, and there are always pot stirrer people in there that get really defensive to the people who are parting them out and say stupid things like, it's a junk old car, let him part it out, it's his, he can do what he wants with it. All sorts of stupid comments. And you have the other people who are enthusiasts who love the car and say, why don't you just sell it to somebody whole and let them enjoy it? And these other people respond and say, I don't care if anybody enjoys this car, I want to sell it for parts and make money off of it. So I think that's really stupid. Now, of course, they have the right to do that. It's their car, they can do whatever they want with it. But I think that's really dumb. Out of the zinc yellow Terminators made, as far as coupes go, there were 490 made in this color in 2003. And so that's actually a pretty low number considering how many Mustangs there are out there and how many of these were used and wrecked. And I know a lot of people don't prefer the zinc yellow. I really love it. I would be very happy to have this car, daily drive it, enjoy it, race it, do all those things. But let's take a look at this car. Since it's been parted out, at least we can see what it was. It's interesting that this car has the parchment color interior on the seats, the suede inserts, and according to the numbers for zinc yellow, there were 490 coupes made, but none of them had parchment seats in 2003. The parchment seats are actually an early production run thing, and usually that is associated with the 4-thread head cars, and so this could be a 4-thread head car, but my opinion on this is that the car had graphite seats, which is what they all came with, and somebody traded them before the car was sold, or somebody knew that the car was going to get sold, so they decided to trade them seats. But those seats still look like they're in really nice shape. The dash looks really nice, although the steering wheel does show some wear on the top. And I do recognize that this is not a perfect car, and the guy parting it out, he has actually parted out a couple of these and he doesn't mind doing it, but he said the car is not as nice as people think it is. In the pictures it looks better than it does. And that's fair enough that it might not be a perfect car, but it's still a nice, iconic, low-mile car. I absolutely love how zinc yellow looks on a Terminator and screaming yellow, but the yellows look so good. It makes the Cobra letters in the bumper pop, it makes the tail light stand out, the third brake light stands out, the valence on the bottom looks really good. Yellow is such a bright color and you cannot help but look at it. If you see it going down the road, you're going to look at it. I've had a zinc yellow Mach 1 and I really enjoyed owning that car. You noticed in the pictures that the car doesn't have a license plate on it. That's most likely because this guy is picking these cars up and stripping them out. And so it's not like it's his car, he's not attached to it. My son is standing here next to me watching me make this video. So what do you think about this? The guy bought this car, this Cobra, and he's selling it for parts. He's going to take all the parts off of it and sell it. And it was a nice car and it ran fine. What do you think?
Stupid.
Stupid. Why would you do that? Why do you think he'd do that?
Because he's dumb.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the mods the car had. It had a Kenny Bell booster pump. Those are wired into the fuel pump wires to up the voltage. to the fuel pumps, so they're always running at high capacity, and that's a good thing. That shows that this car was running as safe as possible with the booster pump on there. An SCT Mafia that plugs into the mass airflow so that the MAF doesn't peg. It's hard to see in that picture, you can see the wires there. I have one of those on my red 10th anniversary Cobra. It has the Metco 6-pound lower and idler relocation, billet flow, idler, snub pulley, and bracket. You can actually see in this picture the belt isn't run the right way, but you know, whatever. It does have those upgrades. Off-road X-pipe, MagnaFlow catback, rear control arms, that's for the solid axle, poly motor mounts, MGW gold handle shifter, clutch quadrant, firewall adjuster and cable, Moroso overflow tank, and the AFCO Pro Series X2 with 2 SPAL fans. So that's 2 of the electronic fans for the heat exchanger. So all those parts were purchased for this car, invested into this car, and the time and labor were already used to put that into the car. And why would you reverse all that work and take it off just to sell it and make a couple bucks? I mean, yeah, I understand they want to make a little money off of it, but to me I see that as a lot of waste as well. So I know arguing with these people online doesn't do anything for you. They just get offended, and they're really cold-hearted people anyway, so they don't care about the car. They'll straight up tell you they don't care about the car. So for the enthusiasts like us, obviously if you're watching this video, you're probably excited about these cars and you like them. You would love to own one, or maybe you do own one. And I think it's sad that people like us don't get the chance to enjoy these cars because other people are out there selling the parts off of them. Now, without selling parts off of cars, then the other ones would have a hard time keeping going. There are some specific parts that are hard to find, and so it is nice when someone does sell parts off cars like these. But for me, I like to see that off cars that are wrapped around a pole, that are totally destroyed, rolled over, cars that really can't be driven again. But to take a low production, nice car like this, that runs fine, that had good compression in the engine, no issues, that is really unintelligent, ignorant, dense, brainless, mindless, foolish, dull-witted, and with only a monetary reason to do this, lame. So anyway, story about the zinc yellow car. It is parted out, it's gone. Hopefully somebody would buy the shell and try to return it back to what it was. That's always difficult. It's going to cost them a lot of money unless they have a wrecked one and they have a lot of the parts or something. But anyway, it's real sad to see this happen. And I know that these cars are going to be worth a lot of money in the future, and even the higher mileage cars will still be sought after, and they still are sought after. It's actually really sad that this car has survived 17 years without being wrecked or damaged. Maybe it is a salvage title car, but it's still all in good running order and it looks good. And it's really sad that it's survived this long just to be parted out by someone who wants some money. So anyway, let me know what you think about this. Put in the comments whether you agree with the owner, whether you think the car shouldn't have ever been parted out, whether you would have loved to have this car or not. There's a story about the car. Hopefully its memory will live on with the video, and stay tuned for more of these Mustang stories.